There are laws that govern the universe, silent forces that shape every event, every encounter, every fragment of the reality we know. But among these laws, there is one forgotten, subtle, almost invisible, that has the power to transform the invisible into the visible, thought into form, and desire into existence. Few have truly understood it. But one woman, guided by a tireless search for spiritual truth, Genevieve Behrend, discovered and applied this law so profoundly that her life became the exact reflection of her highest thoughts. Today, we will reveal what Genevieve called the forgotten law of creation, a hidden principle that connects mind, energy, and the very fabric of the universe. Prepare yourself for an inner journey where thought ceases to be just an idea and becomes the power that creates destiny. If you feel that there is something greater guiding your reality, something you want to understand and manifest consciously, stay with us until the end of this video, because here you will discover what Genevieve really meant when she spoke about the creative power of the awakened mind. And before we dive in, subscribe to the channel and activate the bell so you don't miss the next revelations about the deepest secrets of the universe and consciousness, the origin of the forgotten law of creation. Since time immemorial, ancient sages have claimed that the universe was not born of chance, but of a silent intelligence, a living consciousness that pulses in all that exists. They said that before form, before matter, even before light, there was only mind, the invisible substance from which all creation emerges. The forgotten law of creation, revealed by Genevieve Behrend, speaks precisely about this mystery, the ability that every human being possesses to touch this universal mind and shape reality from it. Everything begins in the invisible. The universe is like a mirror. It does not reflect what we superficially desire, but what we vibrate internally. Our thoughts, charged with emotion and belief, become subtle seeds that the cosmic mind translates into events, encounters, circumstances. When Genevieve said that imagination is God's workshop, she was not speaking of poetic metaphors. She was speaking of a real energetic law, where thought becomes a creative force and imagination, when guided by faith, becomes the channel through which the invisible takes shape. This law is forgotten because the modern world has silenced it. We live surrounded by noise, distractions, and doubts, and with that, we disconnect from the language of the universe, which can only be heard in a state of inner silence. But when we listen again, when we cease the chaos of the mind and feel the invisible field around us, we realize that everything vibrates in response to our consciousness. The forgotten law of creation is, therefore, the art of remembering that we are co-creators of reality, that the universe is not something outside of us. It is the exact reflection of who we are inside, and that is where true power begins, when we stop searching outside ourselves and start creating within. The three levels of mind and the invisible mechanism of creation. To understand the forgotten law of creation, we must first understand the instrument through which it operates, the human mind. It is like a bridge between the visible and the invisible, spirit and matter. Genevieve Behrend taught that the mind is divided into three levels, each playing an essential role in the creative process. The first is the conscious mind, the level of reason, choice, and perception. This is where the idea is born. When you imagine something with clarity and conviction, you are planting the seed in the field of creation. But this is only the beginning. Consciousness is the gardener, not the soil. The second level is the subconscious, the silent dimension that accepts and reproduces everything. It does not question, judge, or doubt. Everything that the conscious mind imprints on it, it transforms into constant vibration. It is here that the mental image begins to take on an energetic form. Genevieve said that the subconscious is the creative medium, the invisible channel that connects human beings to the universal mind. The third level is the universal mind, the creative spirit. It is the infinite field of energy, where all possibilities already exist. When the subconscious vibrates in harmony, with a clear idea charged with faith, this vibration joins the universal field, and the universe responds. Circumstances, people, and events begin to move as if guided by an invisible intelligence. Nothing is coincidence. What we call luck, or destiny, is only a reflection of what we constantly project on levels that we rarely perceive. Thus, every persistent thought, every strongly cultivated emotion, is a silent command sent to the universal mind, and it obediently organizes the universe so that the invisible becomes reality. True creation, therefore, is not an act of force but of alignment. When the conscious mind plants with clarity, the subconscious nourishes with faith, and the universal responds with synchronicity. Reality bends toward the mental image we hold. It is at this point that the forgotten law of creation reveals its secret. You do not create through effort, you create through vibration. The silence where the universe creates. There is a point within every human being where the universe rests in silence. A space where there is no noise, no doubt, no fear, only pure consciousness. That is where creation truly happens. Genevieve Behrend said that the power to create does not come from desire itself, but from the silent consciousness that sustains it. When the mind is restless, energy is dispersed. When there is inner silence, thought becomes an exact force, capable of shaping the invisible substance of the world. This silence is not absence, it is presence. It is the point where the self and the whole meet. It is the moment when thought ceases to be merely human and becomes a vibrational command of the spirit. Many try to create from a place of lack, anxiety, or the need to control the outcome. But true creation is born from a state of conscious surrender, a deep trust in the divine intelligence that sustains all things. It is when the individual understands that they do not force the universe to act. They merely align themselves with the creative flow that is already in motion. Imagine an artist standing before a blank canvas. He does not struggle with the painting. He listens to the silence before the first stroke. At that moment, something greater than himself guides him, an inspiration that comes from a place without form, but full of meaning. It is the same with the human mind. When it becomes receptive, the invisible finds its way through. The forgotten law of creation acts at this point of balance, between wanting and letting go, between thinking and feeling, between the self and the infinite, and it is in this inner state of silent harmony that creative power awakens and begins to act. From the inside out, from the invisible to the visible. Applying the forgotten law of creation is not just repeating affirmations or visualizing images in the mind. It is entering into communion with the invisible power that shapes all reality. Genevieve Behrend taught that the first step of creation does not happen outside, but within the innermost consciousness where the invisible begins to take shape. The state of alignment. It all begins with the inner state. Before any mental image, it is necessary to quiet the noise of the world and tune in to the silent field of being. This silence is not empty. It is a fertile space where the universe listens. Genevieve called this the point of contact with the universal mind. It is at this moment that imagination ceases to be an escape and becomes a divine instrument. It all starts within. Before attempting to create, you need to silence the noise of the world and turn to the center of your mind. This silence is not emptiness. It is the fertile field where the universe listens. It is the point of contact with the universal mind. As Genevieve said, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and realize the creator and creation are one. There is no distance between what you desire and what you are. Everything you seek already exists in potential. The role of your mind is only to give form to the invisible with the purity of intention. Affirm to yourself, silence is my point of power. I am aligned with the universal mind. The living image. When the heart and mind are aligned, the imagination awakens. It is not about dreaming vaguely, but about seeing with the inner eye. Genevieve said that every visible form is first a mental form, and the clearer that image, the more real it becomes on the spiritual plane. Visualize what you desire as if it already existed. Feel what you would feel if it were already a reality. Don't force the image. Allow it to grow on its own, nourished by your faith. The more natural this feeling is, the faster the universe responds. When the heart and mind unite, the imagination awakens. It is not vague dreaming. It is seeing with the inner eye, with clarity and emotion. Every visible form is born as a mental image, and the clearer it is, the more real it becomes. Visualize what you want as if it already existed. Feel what you would feel if it were already true. Don't force it. Allow the image to grow naturally, fueled by your faith. Affirm to yourself, I clearly see the reality I desire. The universe responds to my vision with perfection. The vibration of certainty. The secret lies in the vibration, not in the intensity of the desire. Doubt is the only obstacle that separates the invisible from the visible. Genevieve stated that faith is the vibrational bridge between thought and its manifestation. Faith is not hope, it is certainty without evidence. When you feel that something is already yours, even if you cannot see it yet, the universe begins to reorganize everything so that this truth can manifest. Doubt is the only barrier between you and what you desire. Faith is the vibrational bridge between thought and manifestation. Faith is not waiting, it is knowing before seeing. You need to cultivate the vibration of certainty every day. Don't be distracted by appearances. Don't be carried away by time. Creation is not measured in minutes, but in frequency. Remember, the universe does not respond to words, but to the vibration you sustain. Affirm, I already am what I desire. I fully trust the invisible power that acts within me. Aligned action. And finally, creation is completed with action, not forced action, born of fear of loss, but inspired action, which flows from a state of connection. When the mind is attuned to the source, each step is guided, doors open naturally, coincidences multiply, and the impossible begins to seem inevitable. The application of the forgotten law of creation is a cycle. Think, feel, trust, and act. A continuous process of alignment with the energy that moves the cosmos. And the more you practice this inner state, the more you become aware that you are not creating something new, but only revealing what has always existed within you, the very creative spark of the universe. The mind creates, but it is action that anchors creation in the physical world. It is not acting out of fear of losing, but acting inspired by inner certainty. When you are connected to the source, signs appear, doors open, and synchronicities multiply. Do not be distracted. External forces will try to test your faith, but remain steadfast. Every thought is a command. Every feeling is a signal sent to the universe. Affirm, I act with confidence and let the universal flow guide me, the creator within you. There is a point where all searching ends, the moment when human beings understand that there is no separation between them and the power that creates the universe. Genevieve Behrend said that true wisdom begins when man stops begging the invisible and starts co-creating with it. The universe does not respond to words, but to states of consciousness. Therefore, when your mind vibrates in harmony with the idea you wish to manifest, you become the channel through which the divine expresses itself. It is not the small self that creates. It is universal intelligence itself moving through you. This is the essence of the forgotten law of creation. You are simultaneously the creator, the creation, and the field where everything happens. The human mind is like a mirror. When it is clean, it perfectly reflects the light of supreme consciousness. But when it is clouded by fear, doubt, or guilt, it distorts the image of reality. Purifying the mind is, therefore, the greatest act of creation, for the outer world is but a reflection of the inner world. Genevieve reminds us that thinking is a sacred act. Every thought is a seed sown in the garden of infinity, and every emotion is the water that determines whether that seed will blossom or wither. Thus, creating consciously is much more than manifesting desires. It is participating in the cosmic dance of existence. It is recognizing that, in every pure and intentional thought, God thinks the world through you. When you awaken to this truth, you realize that you lack nothing, because the very source of creative power lives within your mind. The invisible is not distant. It dwells in every breath, waiting only for your awareness to become form, the silence where creation is born. There is a power that precedes all thought, a silent presence that observes even before the mind forms a desire. It is in this space between one thought and another that the universe listens. Genevieve Behrend called this state communion with the invisible, a point of inner stillness where the creator and creation become one. There is no effort, no rush, no seeking. There is only pure awareness, the fertile field where all possibilities rest. When the mind is still, the world reorganizes, because the universe does not respond to anxiety, but to clarity and silent faith. It is in this instant of surrender that true creation happens, not through force, but through surrender to the higher intelligence that sustains all. And the more you align yourself with this invisible field, the more natural the manifestation becomes, as if the universe were silently conspiring to make your vision real. This is the forgotten wisdom Genevieve was trying to convey, that imagination is the bridge between the visible and the invisible world. And inner silence is the temple where this bridge is built. Everything that exists was born from this same creative void, and it is in this same void that you rediscover the source of all power. The secret is not in asking, but in remembering who you are, the consciousness through which the universe dreams of new ways of existing, the awakening of the inner creator. At some point, every great master remembers that the true temple of creation is not in the stars, but in the silent chambers of the mind. When you begin to realize that imagination is not fantasy, but the invisible mold of existence, something extraordinary happens. You stop waiting for life to happen and begin to participate in its very creation. Every image you hold with faith, every emotion that vibrates in harmony with that image, begins to echo through the subtle planes of the universe. The world around you changes almost imperceptibly, reflecting what you choose to see within. And that's when Genevieve Behrend's words come to life. To imagine is to create. The question ceases to be, can I manifest? And becomes, what frequency am I ready to incarnate? Because when your thoughts align with the rhythm of divine intelligence, the forgotten law of creation awakens within you, and life becomes the perfect mirror of your consciousness. The truth is simple and silent. Everything you seek already exists within you. The mind is not just an instrument. It is the link between the invisible and the visible, the point where divine energy takes form. When you understand and live this forgotten law of creation, there is no longer any separation between what you dream and what you live. There is only flow, awareness, and presence. Genevieve Behrend taught us not only to imagine, but to remember who we truly are, co-creators in a universe that responds to the silent power of the awakened mind. Every thought is a seed, and every feeling, the sun that makes it blossom. Everything Genevieve Behrend taught points to the same principle. Reality is not something you observe. It is something you project. Every thought, every image, every emotion is a ray of energy, shaping the invisible fabric of the universe. You are not at the mercy of chance. You are immersed in a living field of consciousness that responds to the vibration of your mind, and the more awake you become, the more you realize that the outer world is merely a mirror of your inner world. True creation happens when the mind and heart vibrate in harmony, when what you imagine is sustained by the silent faith of those who already recognize the power of the invisible. This is the mystery that Genevieve called the forgotten law of creation, the understanding that the universe is not outside, but through you. Everything that seems distant already exists in potential, waiting for your consciousness to bring it into form. And when this understanding ceases to be an idea and becomes an experience, you stop seeking miracles and become the miracle itself. So, before ending this video, close your eyes for a moment. Feel the silence behind your thoughts. It is from there that everything is born. It is from there that the universe recreates itself, through your conscious presence. If this message touched something within you, if it awakened the memory of the silent power that dwells within your mind, subscribe to this channel and walk with us on this path of forgotten wisdom, because there is much more to be revealed about the creative power that lives within you.